Hi everyone, this is Celine from Calla Patterns. In this video series, we're making the Celosia crossbody bag. This is my latest pattern. In terms of what you're going to need to make this bag, I'm going to be using entirely quilt weight cotton for both the exterior and the lining. You need a little bit of fusible woven interfacing, a small piece of fusible fleece, and some foam interfacing. For the crossbody strap, I'll be using SX linen. Now, in terms of your notions, you only need, for hardware, two 1-inch rectangle rings and a 1-inch rectangle slide. So that'll be to attach the crossbody strap to the bag. You're also going to need three zippers. So on the exterior of the bag, for the main closure, you'll either need a 16-inch handbag zipper, or if you're using zipper tape like I am, you're going to need about 17 inches of zipper tape. That's for the main closure. For the front pocket, you're going to need either a 14-inch handbag zipper, and if you're using zipper tape, 14.5 inches of zipper. I forgot to mention, for the main closure, it's personal preference. You can use either a double pull or a single pull zipper. Either one will work fine. For the interior zipper pocket, you're going to need a 9-inch dress zipper. If you don't have a dress size zipper, a number 3, you can also just use zipper tape again, any size, and you can adjust the opening of your zipper, the rectangle box where you have the zipper opening. You can adjust the height slightly to accommodate. But for to keep it simple for the video, I'm going to just use a 9-inch dress zipper. The last thing you're going to need, and this is optional if you're not a fan of piping or you're not comfortable sewing with piping, you can just leave it out. You don't have to add the piping. For the video, I'm going to add the piping, and you just need 84 inches of pre-made piping, or if you have one of these little pre-made 2.5 yard packages, that will be enough to make the entire bag. Now, like all of my patterns, I explain what you need to do. Oh, first I'm going to go over the foam interfacing tip that I put just underneath the supply section. So if you need a piece of foam interfacing that is fairly long for the gusset of the bag. Now, if you're only using a 20-inch wide foam, then you have to cut running along. Well, the foam doesn't really have a selvage, but you're running you have to cut a piece along the length and not the width. So a way to get around that, I'm using a foam that is 45 inches wide, which is allows me to cut longer pieces across. But if you're using a 20-inch wide foam and you don't want to have any waste and you don't want to cut along the length, then what you can do is there's two things that you could do. You could piece together smaller pieces, either using a zigzag stitch to basically attach them together, or what you can also do is all those little scrap pieces of fusible interfacing, you can use it and fuse them together at the seams, and you should do that on the front and the back, and that also works fairly well. So for the pattern pieces, there are only 3 in this pattern. The rest is all cut to measurements. So you have the main body piece, you have the front pocket piece, and then you have the front body piece. So you'll see they each have symbols, and you tape the pieces together, matching the symbols. And you don't have to, I overlap the lines a tiny bit, but whether you overlap them or you don't, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And also, when you're taping the pieces together, I don't cut one of the pieces all the way at the line. You'll see I kind of overlap them and then tape them, and that just makes them more secure. Now, on page 3 of the pattern, I'll show you. there is a cutting chart. So there's really not that many pieces that you need to cut for this bag. It is a fairly simple bag in terms of pockets. So I will go through the cutting chart and I will show you all of the pieces that I have cut out to make this bag. I will start with the front body and the front pocket. This is only used on the exterior of the bag. So this is the front pocket exterior piece. When you're cutting the exterior piece, you should make sure that your fabric is right side facing up, and you cut it this way. And then when you cut the matching piece of woven interfacing, you also want to cut it with the glue side facing up, because you want them to match properly, so that there's an angle here and a corner here, so you want those to match up. So when you're cutting the exterior, you're cutting it with the pattern piece facing up and the fabric right side facing up. When you're cutting the fusible woven interfacing and the fusible fleece, you want that glue side up and the pattern piece side right side up. And then you're also going to cut the pocket lining pieces, and you need a mirror image set of these two lining pieces and a mirror image set of the matching fusible interfacing. So the way to easily cut a set of mirror image pieces is to have them either right sides together, wrong sides together, and you cut two at once with the pattern piece right side facing up. So I just put my fabric right sides together and put this on top, and I cut both. And then for the interfacing, I put them glue side together, and then I put this and I cut both pieces at once. Okay, so I've already fused all of the interfacing to the wrong side of these pieces. The only thing I haven't done yet is fuse the fleece to the wrong side of my front pocket exterior piece. And before I do that, I'm actually going to trim away the seam allowance just to reduce bulk at the seams. And then I'll fuse that to the wrong side, and I'll make sure that it's centered with an even amount of space all the way around. So that's it for the front pocket. With the main body pattern piece, so there's a few different things that we are going to cut with this pattern piece. You're going to need to cut one exterior fabric piece, and this is going to be at the back of the bag. So you're going to have on the front of the bag, you're going to have the front pocket, and on the back of the bag, you're going to have just a solid piece of your exterior fabric with fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. And you're also going to cut out two pieces of foam interfacing. One of them is going to go on the wrong side of this exterior piece. And I'll show you that in a bit once I've interfaced it. Now this second piece, you're just going to set it aside. We're going to assemble the entire front of our bag with the front pocket, and then we will base this to the wrong side. You're also going to need to cut for the lining of the bag two of these. So this is my main body lining pieces, and both of them should have the fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. And then you're going to notice that there is a dashed line running across here. That is for cutting your slip pocket. So what you do to cut your slip pocket fabric is you fold the pattern piece at that slip pocket fold line. And then you use this bottom portion to cut your slip pocket pieces. So I will show you what those look like. So here are both of my slip pocket lining pieces, and both of them have fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. Okay, that's all you're going to cut with this pattern piece. And then you're going to need to cut the front body. So, sorry, I sort of skipped ahead here, but the front body is the first piece you would cut normally. So it's really important for the front body piece. This is going to be around the front pocket. You want to cut the exterior fabric with the fabric right side facing up and the pattern piece right side facing up. And the matching fusible woven interfacing, you want to cut that with the glue side facing up. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need are your zipper panels. So I'm just going in order of the cutting chart. So for the zipper panels, you need, I'll just push these out of the way a little bit. You're going to need 2 lining pieces with matching fusible woven interfacing. And these are going to go with the main closure zipper. 2 exterior pieces, also with matching fusible woven interfacing, and then 2 foam interfacing pieces. So I'll cover this in the next little while, just show you what you need to do with the foam pieces. For the gusset is cut to measurements, which are shown in the cutting chart, same for the zipper panels. For the gusset, you're going to need an exterior piece that is interfaced with fusible woven interfacing, and you'll need a lining piece also interfaced with a matching piece, and 1 foam interfacing piece. So this is the longer piece that I mentioned at the beginning. I use really wide foam, so I can cut it all as 1 piece. The next thing you'll need is zipper tabs. So the zipper tabs, the measurements are written in the chart. I don't interface them because if you interface them, it'll get really bulky at the edges of the front panel of your bag. So don't interface them. You just need 4 pieces, and I cut mine to match my my exterior fabric. So no interfacing on the zipper tabs. And you're going to be attaching those a little later on to the smaller, the front pocket, the exterior front pocket zipper. I've already covered the slip pocket. You cut that with the main body pattern piece. Your zipper facing piece, the measurements for the zipper facing piece are listed in the cutting chart. So you just need the 1 piece of lining fabric, and you want interfacing. Then you also want your zipper pocket lining pieces. So there's 2 pieces. The measurements are in the chart, and they should both be interfaced with fusible interfacing. And then the last parts are for your strap. You'll need 2 rectangle ring connector strap pieces, also interfaced. And then your adjustable crossbody strap piece, also interfaced. Now, most fabrics, if you're using a quilt weight cotton fabric, it's not long enough for an adjustable strap, so you can just piece 2 smaller pieces together to make the length that you'd like for your adjustable strap. So I'm just going to set aside some of these things, and then we'll just go over what we need to do with the foam interfacing. Okay, so first we're going to add the foam interfacing to our zipper panel exterior pieces. To start, what we're going to do is we're going to trim away the seam allowance along one side, one of the longer sides only. So when we attach the zipper panels to the zipper, we're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll trim away 1/4 inch. And don't worry if it's not precise. Okay, and then I'll do the same for this side. Okay, so now pay attention to, like, I want to match up the rainbow here on either side of my zipper. The space for the zipper seam allowance, you're going to want that where you're attaching the zipper. So I know that I want to leave the space here and here on my exterior pieces. So what I'm going to do is attach the foam pieces on this side. And find my clips. Okay, so now another thing that you can do, and this is optional, but it does help a little bit, is before you attach your foam interfacing to the wrong side of your exterior zipper panels, you can actually run a zigzag stitch along this edge where you're going to be attaching to the zipper, just to compress the foam a little bit. I am going to do that as well, but first I'm just going to show you clipping, and then I'll take it off and do that when I get to my machine. So I'm actually going to zigzag stitch this edge that's going to be next to the zipper, and then I'm going to attach it to the zipper panel along 3 sides with a zigzag stitch again, and I use about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm doing the same for the second zipper panel. So they're actually going to be attached to the zipper like this and like this. So these edges are attached to the zipper. Okay, so I'm just going to go over to my machine, and I'm going to do the zigzag stitching, and I'll use a contrasting thread just so that you can see what I've done a little bit more clearly on the video. Okay, so I have the zipper panels with the foam basted. Now I use the contrasting thread. So this side that isn't attached, that's going to be attached to the zipper. I've gone ahead and done a zigzag stitch just to compress the foam there along the zipper. And then I base stitched to the exterior zipper panel piece along these 3 sides. And I did the same thing for both pieces. Now, as I mentioned, for the front pocket exterior piece, you trim away the fusible, the seam allowance from the fusible fleece, and then you fuse it to the wrong side centered. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in a minute. And then the last thing that you need to do, well, it's not the last thing, almost the last thing. You're going to take one of your main panel foam interfacing pieces, and you're going to place your main body exterior piece over top, and you clip them together, and then again you use a zigzag stitch to base the foam to the wrong side of this main body piece. So I will go ahead and I will do that as well. Set that aside, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to trim the seam allowance on both shorter ends. So I'm just going to estimate, so I want 3/8 of an inch off this end and 3/8 of an inch off this end. And then you'll want to place this on the wrong side of your exterior gusset piece. And make sure that you're leaving that gap, the 3/8 of an inch gap at either end. And then clip it, and then you're just going to flip it this way so you can see. You're just going to baste the foam to this gusset piece along this long edge and this long edge with a zigzag stitch. Now, of course, before you're doing all this, you should already have your matching woven interfacing fused to the wrong side before you attach the foam. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do this zigzag stitching and fusing of my fusible fleece, and then we'll be ready to begin the exterior assembly.